So let's hear what the man himself has to say. George Lucas recently spoke out at Cannes Film Festival, and this is an article by World of Real because this was the most concise article I could find about it. It just went straight to the issue at hand here. Let's see what the filmmaker spoke about. He talked about a lot of things when it came to Star Wars. This was shortly before Kathleen Kennedy made her remarks about women are having such a hard time in Star Wars nowadays. He spoke out before her, and of course Kathleen Kennedy spoke out before The Acolyte premiered, so that's the timeline of this. So World of Real reports, needless to say, he's not thrilled with the direction Disney has taken his former franchise, and that he might be the only one to know how to make these films. And he says, quote, "I was the one who really knew what Star Wars was, who actually knew this world, because there's a lot to it. The Force, for example, nobody understood the Force," said Lucas. "When they started other ones after I sold the company, a lot of the ideas that were in the original sort of got lost. But that's the way it is. You give it up, you give it up." Dave Filoni, the chief creative officer, the one who doesn't like canon, this is why his ideas got lost, is because you do not adhere to canon. And it's not that hard. The Force is not hard. It's not a difficult concept to grasp. But they kind of muddied it. It just became really convoluted. He has the final word. He knows his stuff's getting lost in the ether of this mess. I mean, I'm sure to a degree it saddens him, but he's clearly moved on, and it's fine. He's getting up there. He's 80 years old, but that's what he thinks. They've lost his ideas. There's no question. We're seeing it. And we heard it from Filoni himself, that canon is just a loose concept. It's like jazz music. It doesn't rhyme. It's like jazz music. It doesn't need to make sense. It's all tall tales, so none of it matters. One wonders if KK has a grudge against George for some reason. She said she'd respect Star Wars, but seems it's anything but. It's definitely clear by the state of Star Wars and its systematic dismantling of what came before. We've had Han, Luke, and Leia, I mean the sequel trilogy, them all die systematically before our eyes, but even before that, they were bastardized to a degree that was unrecognizable. And within it, we also had a fierce critique of the previous Jedi. And it was one thing to like view the Jedi as flawed or with their hubris that they failed to see the moves being made against them with Palpatine. That's different. That's different, clearly. No, what they've been doing now is just a bastardization, and it feels malicious. It does. So with Kenobi too, like Obi-Wan Kenobi was awesome, and they had to ruin him too. They turned him into this old, depressed guy. I mean, the same pattern that our heroes are just left to, like, particularly the men who are just left to be depicted as old, sad men that have such a jaded worldview now. And Indiana Jones suffered the same fate too. So I feel like, yeah, she destroyed Willow, she destroyed Indiana Jones. I mean, I know people are divided on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but it had a wonderful ending. It was uplifting and it was, like, good. They totally threw that ending away. It's really sad. And then brought him back to just make him depressed. Yeah, it does feel malicious. And then again, with this most recent offering, we're dismantling the prequel trilogy and Anakin even more. I think it's really pure hubris. Kathleen genuinely believes her vision is superior and the past needs to change. And like I was saying before, her excuse of like, oh, well, it's time women shape Star Wars. Clearly, that's not what's driving her. Because women have always been a part of Star Wars. From the beginning, in the movies, behind the scenes, and involved in all these multimedia projects. So you can't use that excuse. And I think George Lucas actually commented on that as well, that women were always a big part of it. As part of the story, we have Leia helping to lead the rebellion, giving orders to the troops and stuff and rallying them. She's in a very significant position, always. And then Marcia Lucas, I mean, her accomplishments were awarded with an Academy Award for editing, which a lot of people argue that the first Star Wars movie was saved by her edits. I tend to agree. If you watch the video, Star Wars was saved in the edit. Again, this doesn't hold water. But that's what she's saying is what her reasoning is. She can use it as a shield, just deflect it. Well, you're just misogynistic, you're just bigots, or whatever, to excuse her clearly malicious actions. We get the pattern. It's a clearly established pattern, and people are starting to see it. That's a really professional way of saying, look how they massacred my boy. Yep. We must now deconstruct all our heroes. it was clear that she just wanted to get rid of everything that came before. So we're gonna replace everything.